The emergency sirens had been howling for 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Somewhere deep in the lab levels of Orbital Station 9 Theta, a dozen biolocks failed in sequence. Protocols flashed red on every console. No one was answering comms. Sector 7 was already dark. Inside holding cell 19C, Rhea Kalin shifted beneath a thermal foil blanket and groaned. She reached blindly for the pillow, didn't find one, and settled for rolling onto her side, eyes closed, jaw tight. A tremor passed through the floor. It wasn't turbulence, it was weight. Heavy, deliberate. The kind of footfall that meant something bigger than a man was moving, and moving with intent. Rhea exhaled slowly through her nose. 2 meters away, a Xandari inmate pressed his slim hands against the cell's corner wall, whispering prayers in a language thick with vowels. He was shaking. Another prisoner, a stocky human with gang tattoos from Tau Ceti, paced in frantic circles, muttering, "We're dead. We're all dead. You know that, right? It's out. The thing is out." "Shut up," Rhea said flatly, eyes still closed. No one did. Outside the cell, the lights flickered. A low static hum crackled through the intercom, followed by a garbled station-wide broadcast. "Containment, failure in Zone 4, Bioform D92, repeat, hostile breach, lockdown engaged." Then screams. Brief, high-pitched, human. Then silence. The Tau Ceti man ran to the bars, shaking them. "Guard! Guard, open this! Please! I have kids." The door didn't move. A sudden impact struck the bulkhead outside. The metal bulged inward, dented from the opposite side. Dust rained down from the ceiling. The Xandari dropped to the floor, weeping. Someone wet themselves. Rhea blinked. Just once. Then slowly, reluctantly, she sat up. "You've got about 30 seconds before it chooses this room," she muttered, directing her voice to no one in particular. A slender alien in a torn lab coat sprinted into view outside the cell, a tall Vacreal, all spindly limbs and biotech implants. He crashed against the cell bars, eyes wide. "Please, hide me," he begged, voice shrill. Rhea didn't move. The Vacreal turned as a shadow appeared at the corridor's end. A hulking, glistening figure stepped into view, too many joints, the wrong number of eyes. It walked upright but hunched, its body covered in chitin-like armor that shimmered with adaptive pigment. Its jaw split vertically. It stared at the scientist. The Vacreal screamed as the beast leapt forward in a single blur, impaled him with a hook-shaped claw, and dragged his twitching body back into the dark. Everyone in the cell froze. Even the panicking man stopped breathing. The Tau Ceti inmate whispered, "What the hell is that thing?" Rhea stood slowly, pulled her hair back into a knot, and looked around the cell. Her gaze landed on the metal chair in the corner. One of its legs wobbled slightly. She tested it. It held. "Death World Predator," she said. "How do you know?" someone asked, voice trembling. "Because it just skipped me." They stared at her. "That means it didn't see me as prey," she added. Another impact outside. A piece of wall plating slid loose, landing on the floor with a clang. Sparks erupted from a control panel. The temperature dropped sharply. The beast was circling. The Tau Ceti inmate backed up against the far wall, clutching a shiv made from a toothbrush. "You're military, right? You fought these things?" "I don't fight. I nap." "Then we're screwed." There was a rasping breath outside. Not quite a growl, not quite a hiss, a sound meant to provoke fear. The beast was intelligent. It was waiting, testing, letting them panic. Rhea stared at the cell door. "You woke me up," she said to the corridor. Another long pause. Then, impossibly, a voice entered her mind. Not spoken. Projected. "You are different." She flinched only slightly. No fear scent. No threat posture. No heat spike. The others were wide-eyed now, frozen, watching her respond to something they couldn't hear. You're not the first telepath I've had in my head, she replied. You do not run. I've had worse in my dreams. There was a pause. I wonder what your bones sound like when they snap. She cracked her neck. Probably louder than your skull. The beast stepped into full view outside the bars. Its shoulders were hunched, claws scraping the floor. Its eyes gleamed like molten metal. It inhaled, tasting her. Then it reached forward and crushed the lock control with a flick of one claw. The door slid open with a wheeze. The other inmates backed into corners. Rhea didn't move. The beast crouched. She rolled her shoulders. You've got one chance, she said. To run? To die clean. It lunged. Rhea sidestepped just enough. The chair came up like a hammer, caught the beast mid-leap across its jaw. The crack of impact echoed through the corridor. The thing spun, rebounded off the wall. She moved forward, 3 steps, no hesitation, and rammed the chair's front leg into its eye socket. It screeched, twisted, flailed. She twisted the chair leg deeper. The convict screamed and ducked. Then, still gripping the broken metal, she drove the chair down, splintering what remained of its skull against the wall. Silence. A low gurgle bubbled in its throat. Then it stopped moving. Rhea let go. The chair clanged to the floor. She returned to her bench, picked up the blanket, and laid back down. Wake me again, she murmured, and I won't use furniture next time. The sirens continued to scream. But no one in the cell made another sound. It wasn't dead. Rhea knew before the first twitch. The station had fallen back into silence. The klaxons had cut off mid-howl. That silence wasn't relief, it was the kind that waits. She lay still under her blanket, eyes half open. Her breathing remained calm, controlled. Every cell in her body was alert. The corpse, if it could still be called that, spasmed once. A thin line of black fluid oozed from the shattered eye socket. Then the neck twitched, followed by a ripple down its spine. It was healing. Not rapidly, not completely, but enough to be dangerous. Rhea sighed through her nose. Of course, she whispered. She stood again, more annoyed than concerned. The other inmates were huddled together, wide-eyed. None of them spoke. None of them moved. The beast's limbs shuddered, drawing inward, like a dying insect pulling itself together. Its shattered skull cracked again. Something inside reformed with wet clicks. Its eye socket reknit slowly, cartilage regrowing. The chair leg embedded in its head groaned under pressure. Rhea crouched beside it. The beast's eyelids fluttered. One remaining eye locked onto her. Its pupils expanded, contracting like camera lenses. You adapt. The voice entered her head again, softer now, less invasive. You regenerate, she replied, frowning. Your kind is wrong. Depends on the angle. It tried to lunge. The movement was sluggish, clumsy. She stepped aside, let it collapse onto the metal grating. Behind her, the Tau Ceti inmate whispered, "Why isn't it dead?" "It is," Rhea said. "It just doesn't know yet." The beast rolled, gasping now. The chair leg tore loose and clattered to the floor. Black blood sprayed. It staggered upright, swaying, still enormous, still armed, but diminished. Its breathing grew erratic. Pain, not familiar. "Get used to it," Rhea muttered. "You don't belong here." "I get that a lot." Its limbs tensed again, but Rhea struck before it moved. She drove her knee into its lower thorax, a spot she'd calculated earlier. Something inside cracked. It folded over, wheezing. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed its lower jaw with both hands, twisted it sideways, and forced it open. Inside, rows of serrated teeth and bioluminescent tissue throbbed. She reached in and pulled. The gland she tore out pulsed once before going still. The creature collapsed, convulsing, and lay still once more, truly this time. Rhea stood straight, flicking the blood from her fingers. She looked at the shocked faces still hiding near the back wall. Central respiratory node, she said. It was breathing through that. The rest was bluff. The inmates said nothing. She returned to her bench and sat down slowly. The Tau Ceti man finally spoke. What, are you? She wiped her hand on her pants and said, tired. 15 minutes later, the doors slid open with a sharp hiss. A squad of station security entered, half-armored, half-panicked. They raised weapons at once. Rhea didn't flinch. The security chief, a tall insectoid Arknari with compound eyes and a voice like crushed glass, stepped forward. Where is the creature? It demanded. Rhea nodded toward the broken body. Impossible. That thing tore through armored divisions. You expect us to believe? I was napping, she interrupted. It interrupted. One of the guards aimed his weapon at her. The chief raised a claw and stopped him. Rhea leaned back on her elbows. I'm unarmed. Unless you count furniture. The Arknari moved closer to the carcass. Its antennae twitched as it scanned the beast. D-92 was designed to eliminate apex threats. It's immune to most known weapons. Regenerative tissue. Dual brain systems. Psychological warfare capabilities. Rhea shrugged. You forgot loud breather. Another guard muttered something about humans being unnatural. The chief stared at her. Where did you learn to kill like that? Miravalli. The name caused a visible ripple through the squad. One stepped back. Another lowered his weapon. You're a death worlder. I'm trying not to be. The Arknari's eyes narrowed. That creature was supposed to test defensive countermeasures. It escaped. You destroyed our investment. It tried to eat me. We may file charges. Rhea chuckled softly. Go ahead. Let's see who walks out of that courtroom. A long pause. Then the chief tapped his comm specimen neutralized. Sector clear. Begin decontamination. The guards withdrew. No one looked directly at her on the way out. That night, the station remained in low-power lockdown. Rhea sat alone in her cell. No more roommates. No more noise. Just her and the soft hum of vents overhead. Her mind wasn't calm. The beast had spoken to her, not just with words, but with intent. It had recognized something in her. Something buried. And she'd felt it too. There was a part of her that didn't belong among quiet people. A part that never left the forests of Miravalli, that still remembered killing a spined panther with a rusted spoon when she was 6. Her breathing slowed. She tried to sleep. But before she could close her eyes, a message pinged on the intercom. Incoming transfer request approved. Subject, Rhea Kalin. New designation, Black Level Threat. She stared at the blinking message. Someone had noticed. She'd made the mistake of waking up. 2 hours later, the corpse was gone. A sterilization team, dressed in full-body containment suits, wheeled the body of Skitrax out of the detention sector on a reinforced gurney. The creature's size had shrunk slightly, muscles slack, as if something internal had collapsed. The lights flickered as the team passed, the residual interference from the beast's neural emissions still affecting the local systems. Rhea sat on the edge of her bunk, barefoot, arms folded, staring at the camera dome embedded in the corner of the ceiling. She didn't blink. They were watching. 3 levels above, in Observation Chamber 4, a council of off-world scientists, military contractors, and alien defense ministers watched the recorded footage. The screen replayed the fight in slow motion. The beast lunging. The girl shifting her weight by inches. The chair swinging in an arc with perfect timing. The impact, brutal and final. None of the observers spoke. The footage looped again. From a different angle. The same result. One of the alien strategists leaned forward. She didn't even use a weapon. Another, a cybernetic tactician from the Polari cluster, tapped his claw on the desk. That was a chair. No edge. No amplification. Just momentum and timing. She didn't stand, said the Varelian analyst, narrowing 3 of his eyes. She stayed seated. She waited for the exact moment. She knew. She read it like a file. They paused the footage. Rhea, leaning back down, pulling the blanket over herself again. Does she understand what she is? Asked a soft voice in the dark. She's Miravali born, the first said. They train survival before speech. She wasn't trained. That wasn't technique. That was instinct. Worse, the Varelian added. That was control. Down below, the door to Rhea's cell opened with a soft hydraulic hiss. She didn't look up. The one who entered didn't wear armor, or carry weapons. He was tall, human, dressed in black with no insignia. Pale eyes. Hands behind his back. Calm as a statue. He stopped 2 paces from her. You've been reassigned, he said. Figured, Rhea replied. Black level classification. Temporary. Of course. You're a weapon now. I've always been. Just didn't like being loaded. The man tilted his head. You don't seem angry. Rhea looked at him for the first time. Why would I be? You're all just predators with paperwork. He smiled. There's a ship waiting. Escort in 10. Full clearance. Destination? Classified. She stood, stretching once, as if waking from an afternoon nap. I'll need my chair, she said dryly. You'll be provided better. I doubt that. Escorted by 2 silent guards in shock-resistant armor, Rhea was walked through the central corridor of 9 Theta. Crew stepped aside as she passed. Some avoided eye contact. Others stared too long. She noticed all of them. As they approached the hangar, a group of Vec Real scientists stood near a display terminal, arguing over something on the screen. One pointed toward her. She severed the gland with 2 fingers. That muscle is calcified. Impossible. That requires 400 newtons of force. She didn't even tense her jaw. They stopped talking as she walked by. Rhea didn't slow. Inside the shuttle, she was met by silence. Clean walls. A bench bolted to the floor. Nothing else. The door hissed shut behind her. The hum of launch systems began immediately. Smooth. Efficient. She sat, folding her hands in her lap. No restraints. No briefing. No one else aboard. The shuttle detached from 9 Theta with a whisper of thrusters. Outside the viewing port, the stars stretched like silver scars across the dark. Gravewalk, the planet below, turned slowly, its surface a mess of burning storms and jagged mountain ranges. Life there didn't evolve, it survived by eating itself. She stared at it for a long time. Her reflection watched her. For the first time in hours, her shoulders sagged. I didn't want this, she murmured. The shuttle didn't answer. Elsewhere, in a secure military channel, a report was being drafted. Subject, Rhea Kalin. Species, human, Death World variant. Origin, planet Miravali. Classification, X9D/Black level threat. Status, reassigned to Containment Analysis Task Force, CATF, Tier 1. Notes. Demonstrates threat recognition beyond programmed Apex entities. Neutralized engineered Predator D-92 with environmental tools. Telepathic resistance observed. Threat display passive until provoked. Kill confirmed from seated position. Recommendation, do not engage without full orbital support. In the silence of the shuttle, Rhea closed her eyes again. Whatever came next, they'd expect a soldier. A monster. A killing machine. But she was none of those things. She was just tired. She was always tired. And she knew, eventually, someone else would try to wake her. They wouldn't like what happened next either. The shuttle docked at an orbital station that had no name, just a designation, Facility No 1. It wasn't on any star maps. No broadcasts. No signal traffic. Just a static ghost in the middle of an asteroid belt nobody visited. As the doors opened, the air hissed and like it had been waiting for her. Cold, crisp, sterile. Rhea stepped out. No armed guards. No welcoming committee. Just a long corridor lit by recessed lights that pulsed softly, one by one, drawing her forward. Like the place wanted her to know exactly how far and she was going. She walked slowly. No footsteps echoed. No scent. Not even the low hum of machinery. Too quiet. At the end of the corridor, a room opened. Glass on all sides. Observation decks above. A figure stood waiting inside, human, middle-aged, in a long coat with a black stripe across the chest. Military, but not standard fleet. Rhea Kalin, he said. She nodded once. My name is Colonel Haveth. You're here because of what happened on 9 Theta. She said nothing. You killed a thing we made to kill everything. I was tired. It made noise. Haveth gave a dry smile. That's what scares them. I wasn't trying to scare anyone. You didn't need to. You just didn't run. He turned, gestured toward a wall. It shifted, revealing a screen. Footage played, short clips, no sound. Predators. All of them. Some man-made, some naturally evolved, others birthed in places that didn't know sunlight. Each one killed soldiers, tore through bunkers, resisted everything. In every clip, they won. Until the last one. It showed Rhea in her cell, half asleep, lifting the chair. Then silence. The screen faded. We've been trying to replace humans in war zones for decades, Haveth said. Too emotional. Too costly. Too unpredictable. And then you built something worse, Rhea said quietly. He didn't argue. We sent Skitrax into 3 different test stations, he continued. It beat us each time. Adapted, evolved, outthought its handlers. And you put it on a station full of civilians. He looked at her. No one else was supposed to be there. They were late clearing out. Rhea stepped closer. You're not afraid of what I did. You're afraid I did it without effort. He met her eyes. Didn't blink. You're not wrong. They took her to a room. Bare walls. A single bed. A table. No windows. You'll stay here, the voice on the intercom said. You're not a prisoner. But you are being observed. She dropped her bag. You people ever just ask questions without cages? The speaker clicked off. She sat. Crossed her legs. Waited. Time passed. No sound. No movement. They wanted to see what she'd do when left alone. If she'd pace. Talk. Rage. Sleep. She did none of those. She sat still. Thinking. She thought about the last time she'd run. It was years ago. Miravalli. A hunting trip gone wrong. A leviathan, something old, blind, with armored hide and teeth like rock saws, had charged out of a ravine. Everyone else ran. Rhea was 11. She didn't run. She stood in the stream, holding a broken spear. The leviathan charged. She leapt sideways, jammed the shaft through its eye, and wedged her arm in its jaw so it couldn't close. She didn't kill it. But it never came back. The adults told the story like a legend. Rhea never spoke of it. Because it wasn't bravery. It was instinct. The same instinct that swung a chair into Skitrax's face. Hours later, Colonel Haveth returned. She didn't look at him when the door opened. He placed a folder on the table. What's this? Profiles. Missions. Things we need done that no one else can do. She raised an eyebrow. You want to send me after more mistakes? We want to send you after threats. Same thing. He didn't deny it. She flipped through the folder. Creatures. Names. Coordinates. One target, a human warlord enhanced with black market alien tech, leading raiders in the Outer Rim. Another, a rogue AI colony that had grown organic shells. You people build monsters and then hire them to clean up after themselves. Havith nodded. Is that what you think you are? She closed the folder. No. I'm not a monster. He waited. I'm just what happens when you ignore one long enough. Later that night, the lights dimmed in her room. The station entered sleep cycle. She didn't sleep. Instead, she stood by the door, staring at her reflection in the glass panel. She looked calm. Normal. Small. Not someone who broke apex predators with furniture. Not someone who survived Miravalli with a spoon and sheer will. They called her dangerous. Classified her. Measured her. But they still didn't understand the truth. She didn't fight because she loved violence. She fought because she had no patience for threats. Because running wasn't part of her biology. And because, when everything collapses, someone has to stay still while the rest scream. She didn't enjoy it. She endured it. And tomorrow, they'd ask her to do it again. For now, she laid down. Closed her eyes. And let the silence come.